Oh man, did this episode bring me back. It was not that long ago that I was really enjoying the Andor series, and this episode gave me a lot of Andor vibes. This is especially true for the Coruscant aesthetic, a very different feel from what we got in the prequels, albeit similar instances, but very, very different. This is the first time we have seen Coruscant up close now in this New Republic era, so that was fascinating as well. Din Djarin and Bo-Katan were in this episode shortly. Mostly we had Dr. Pershing and his unfortunate demise. So, this episode is called The Convert, and the theme of it, if you didn't pick it up, is the New Republic versus the Imperial Remnant. Think about it, even Din Djarin and Bo-Katan had to go up against an Imperial Remnant so big that even Bo-Katan was amazed, where are they coming from? Then we move on to the New Republic, where they are struggling with reformed Imperials that are trying to re-ingratiate themselves into society. It was very, very interesting, and a lot of early 19th century top secret operations that happen, if you catch my drift. But the episode opens up with Bo-Katan contemplating as to what she just saw. The mythosaur is still laying inside this body of water. I could understand her reaction because never in her life did she think she would ever see a mythosaur, such a majestic creature. Din wakes up, doesn't look very wet, so this kind of indicates that she has been sitting there for a pretty long time, but once Din wakes up and confirms that he has finally been redeemed, he bathed into the waters, and Bo-Katan was a witness. Bo-Katan sneakingly asks him, how did he fall? There was a chasm on the stairs that Din Djarin did not see. This was due to the earth shifting from the bombing. This kind of indicates that this is how the mythosaur got into this position, because apparently, since they did not discover him earlier, he might have been underneath the ocean somewhere where he was undetectable. And of course, Din Djarin has not seen the mythosaur. This was confirmed by him when Bo-Katan sneakingly asks him did he see something alive down there, and Din Djarin responds with a question mark. So since Din Djarin hasn't seen the mythosaur and only Bo-Katan knows about its existence, I suspect she is covering up something that might be useful for her in the future. Of course, being Mandalore once again. This will be abundantly clear later on when we talk about when she goes face to face with the armorer as well. Nevertheless, they are returning to Kalevala when all of a sudden TIE interceptors appear out of nowhere and are gunning for them. Din makes a comment that TIE interceptors are much tougher than TIE fighters, and there's a cool scene proceeding where Din Djarin jumps out of the ship and TIE fighters move past him. That was a pretty cool moment, and in the end he lands into his N1 starfighter to join Bo-Katan as well. Together they dispatch a few, but once they come back they see that TIE bombers are destroying the castle that Bo-Katan didn't do much in. I mean, we fans just saw her be depressed in it all the time, so that depression chair is gone, my friends. Sadly, gone but not forgotten. And now a huge number of TIE interceptors and TIE fighters move in for the kill, and both of them have to escape. So you clearly see that Moff Gideon's Imperial Remnants is still very much active. Why in this moment? Well, we don't know yet, but what we do know is that Dr. Pershing is alive and well for now, because we move into Coruscant, into modern-day Coruscant. This is years after Return of the Jedi. Even in the sequels, we did not get to see Coruscant, so this is a pretty beautiful scene to see Coruscant back in the fold again. We see the Opera House, which was made famous in Revenge of the Sith, especially by Anakin and Palpatine, talking, of course, about Darth Plagueis the Wise. Now we see that they have given Dr. Pershing a platform. This was pretty much a TED Talk in our world, where he talks about how he has been reformed, how his imperial experience was pretty rough, and now he is trying to reintegrate into society and accept the New Republic for the great things that it does, that is bringing from the old democratic traditions. Afterwards, everybody is praising him. There are people who clearly do not care about New Republic or Empire. One of them even mentions that he can't even keep track anymore. Obviously, an elite, a wealthy individual who doesn't care care who is in charge as long as he has a pretty cushy life. However, it is pretty sad the moment he arrives at Amnesty Housing. By the way, droid cab drivers still do not shut up. Throughout all that trip, that droid was talking Dr. Pershing's ear off, and we see the sad state of the Amnesty program. While yes, it is trying to reincorporate these fallen individuals and bring them back into society, into a healthy society now in the New Republic, the Amnesty Housing really seem like refugee camps, for better or worse. This is where he meets with other individuals in the Amnesty program and meets again with one of Moff Gideon's close subordinates in Officer Kane. I immediately got bad vibes from her, and I knew that something, sooner or later, something would creep up. She immediately starts working on him, especially with the rations, with the crackers, I think, and it was interesting to see how she manipulated him to the point where he completely thought that she was his friend. Why this episode was very similar to an Andor episode was, of course, the immediate comparisons between Dr. Pershing and Cyril Karn from Andor. Both of them even darn the same uniform, kind of the same blue uniform. Cyril is punished by working a menial, boring desk job, and the same happens to Dr. Pershing. They were essentially both meant for great things in their mind, but they are relegated to something boring and unadventurous, unexciting, something that they essentially hate. In the first time around, in his questioning, Dr. Pershing answers the questions very earnestly, I think, but as we see, later on, he starts to doubt even his answers. This is true because Kane starts immediately, as I said, manipulating him. The next time they see each other, they are at the fair on Coruscant, at the plaza where it was pretty cool to kind of chill out from the story and get the atmosphere, like soak in everything. They literally had Star Wars soundtracks playing in the background. By the way, this is kind of the plaza where Obi-Wan and Satine met in the Clone Wars, so everything was just playing back and forth in my mind. As a Star Wars nerd, it was kind of great and awesome to see this, especially, again, the tippy top of the Mountain Umar, where it's a playful thing. Dr. Pershing wants to touch it, but it is against regulation. Also, glowing ice creams, what the heck is that? But this served as kind of a final push for Kane. Throughout all this time, Dr. Pershing is getting mad that a lot of Imperial tech is being destroyed, new Imperial tech that could be put to good use. He wants to advance his cloning techniques in order to help people, because as we realize, his mother died because they couldn't perform a simple organ cloning procedure. So his intentions, by all means, are good. Kane, on the other hand, convinces him that he needs to continue his work even behind the New Republic's back. This will be for the greater good. Very similar to Revenge of the Sith, where Palpatine in the same scenario convinces Anakin for the greater good. So it's doing bad for the greater good doesn't really mesh. All this is what Star Wars is trying to tell us. And while it wasn't completely answered in this episode, I practically know why Kane did everything that she did. They proceed to have a very interesting train adventure where they escape the droids, they make it inside an Imperial starship, and the moment Pershing picks up everything he needs, when they walk out, the police are right there waiting for him, and we realize Kane was a double agent. She set Pershing up. But is there another purpose to this? I think, of course, there is, because in the end, in the treatment where they are essentially trying to wipe his memory, she destroys Dr. Pershing's brain with the high voltage just for the sole purpose to kill him off once and for all. Somebody with his knowledge could come back and help the New Republic. I think her sinister ideals are to go back to Moff Gideon and her Imperial remnants with now the knowledge of cloning technology that she got from Dr. Pershing. She has the necessary materials and the necessary blueprints to finish what Dr. Pershing started. We will get in the next episodes or so, and the episode concludes with Din Djarin Bo-Katan returning to the armor, and in a completely surprising twist that nobody really expected, not only is Din Djarin redeemed and he is now a returning member of the Children of the Watch, Bo-Katan is now an official member of their creed as well, since she too has bathed into the waters technically, and has not removed her helmet since. Where others have left her, now this creed has accepted her. With this creed accepting her, and she having knowledge of the mythosaur, you see everything starting to come together. I think that there's definitely going to be a battle between Bo-Katan and Din Djarin for the Mandalore position. It was a pretty awesome episode in my opinion, and I would love to know what you guys think as well. Talk to me down below in the comments. Thank you so much for watching this video, and if you enjoyed, leave a thumbs up down below, subscribe for dailies. Now you can have an awesome day, Star Wars fans. I'll see you in the next video, and may the Force be with you. Until then.